Good evening. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and thank you for watching this edition of Technology Access Television. Well, it's not too often I get joined by one of the oldest and most formidable organizations that has been doing phenomenal things in this community and in this country, and I dare say in this world. Their members are well known all over for their contributions to their community and how they've changed lives and just done so many things from a variety of experiences. And now they have come to be involved in economic development. And I bet as they begin to tell us their story, we will find out that they are not new to this activity of empowerment in this city of Chicago. My guests today are from none other than the famed sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. And they're going to talk about something they have coming up called the Empowerment Fair 2015. And I want to thank my guests for joining me today.
Thank you.
Making my set look so beautiful in all of their red grandeur and all of their beauty. Thank you for joining me. My guests today are Jerry Edwards.
Yes.
And you are the co-chair?
I'm the chair. Of the Economic Development Committee.
Of the Economic Development Committee of your organization.
Chicago Alumni Chapter.
Chicago Alumni Chapter. They're going to get me right. And I'm going to be right, because I want to be right with these ladies, because I want to be at the Empowerment Fair myself. And my other guest is Barbara Medley Thomas.
Yes.
And you are the
co-chair of the Economic Development Committee.
And why don't you tell me about the Economic Development Committee? I find it very exciting that an organization of your size and fame would have an economic development activity. Has this been something you've been doing for a while?
Actually, this is our first year as chair and co-chair of the committee. But since the founding of the actual Chicago Alumni Chapter in 1959, the Economic Development Committee has been charged with fulfilling the financial fortitude initiatives of the national chapter. So we do various events such as homeownership fairs, empowerment fairs. We focus on estates and estate planning, wills, and we also focus on helping our businesses in our communities.
So tell us about the Empowerment Fair this year. Where is it going to be? When is it going to be? And how can people get involved?
Sure. This year's Empowerment Fair is going to be at the UIC Student Center West. We're actually partnering with our collegiate chapter, that's Lambda chapter, and it's going to be Saturday, February 21st from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The location is 828 South Walcott. So it's on the UIC campus, and we're actually going to have a number of workshops that address entrepreneurship and personal debt.
And is this something that your members themselves are interested in and are likely to be involved, as well as the broader community?
Totally. It's for the collegiate community and adults of all ages, those especially who are interested in forming their businesses and who have personal debts. We're going to have a workshop on student loan, which many of our collegiate students need to know about.
Talk a little bit about Delta. Again, some may not be familiar with your sorority, although I can't imagine who that is.
I can't imagine who that would be.
But if they are not, talk about a little bit about your history and also about your presence here in the Chicago area. What kind of how big is the alumni chapter? How many people are active, and the kinds of things you do along with this empowerment conversation?
Sure. We were founded on January 13th, 1913 on the campus of Howard University by 22 forward-thinking women. We have currently grown to over 300,000 members and 1,000 chapters, both here in the United States and abroad. We're in Japan, we're in Bermuda, the Virgin Islands, we're in Germany, we're just worldwide.
And some people think that, you know, sororities and fraternities are something that are primarily during your college experience. And so once you leave the yard,
right.
What do you do to remain connected? But it seems like within your organization, life just begins after you leave the campus experience, and you do so many things on into as long as you want to be involved. And so here in Chicago, how do folks from all over, because I would imagine having alumni chapter, your participants have found themselves being relocated to Chicago because of their work, and
yes.
Maybe they've come here to grad school, or maybe they've come here to start a family, and yet they still want to be involved in your organization. Is that kind of the experience that you have in the alumni side of the organization?
Yes, we do. In the Chicago Alumni Chapter, we have about 500,
Yes.
500 active members, but we have many more members that are that reside in the Chicagoland area. We operate under a 5-point thrust, and that's economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and political awareness and involvement. So we have several activities throughout the year. For example, with our on our educational development, we work with young men through our Embody program. We work with young ladies from the ages of 11 to 18 through our GEMS and our Delta Academy. In international awareness and involvement, we're actually collecting over 1,000 shoes to send to Africa for young women in need. In physical and mental health, we've actually partnered with various organizations, and we also just recently had a drive with an outside organization where we were, and they're focused on the lives of young children. And then political awareness and involvement, definitely keeping our communities aware of elections as well as the Affordable Care Act. So educating our communities on various topics as it relates to the political process.
Now, Barbara, I'd like to ask you this area of business ownership and wealth. When we look at Chicago and many of the communities that we see the disparity. We see a lot of economic activity downtown, and we see shops and all kinds of things. But we look on some sides of towns, and it just doesn't have that liveliness of entrepreneurial activity and business ownership. Is this one of the things the conference is meant to address, is to get more beautiful and talented and people with resources to think about the idea of maybe investing in a business or starting a business themselves?
Exactly. We have paired with the Chicago Urban League and other business organizations, and we have started a national competition, the Women-Owned Business Competition. And we are trying to inspire women of all ages to enter our competition. And we have informed them about classes all over the city that they can learn how to write a business plan, obtain financial aid, and how to maintain their business.
Now, I'm sure within the ranks of DST that there are some very prosperous and successful entrepreneurs or business leaders or even corporate leaders. Do any of those come to mind that you might think of that might have people say, well, gee, I didn't know that person was a Delta? Are there some that you think of that have had some level of notoriety on the business front that are the kinds of people that could bring advice and counsel to your members who would think about entrepreneurship as a role?
Well, actually, we have our the president of the Chicago Urban League, Andrea Zopp. She's a member. We have one of our speakers for the event is BMO Harris, and a representative from there is Leslie Anderson, and she is actually the U.S. head of the business banking and treasury
Leslie's
area.
Very, very. I know Leslie from her work. She is on the board of advisors for one of the technology incubators in Chicago, and she is very much on top of the business and investing scene as relates to technology startups in those arenas. So those are two outstanding people, because the Urban League is an organization that works with entrepreneurs very seriously.
Yes.
And Andrea Zopp is doing great work here
She
in
is,
Chicago in that
definitely.
regard. So those are
Yes.
two outstanding members that you can refer to.
Yes.
So what kinds of things? Let's talk about this empowerment fair. It's coming up in just a few weeks.
Yes.
What are some of the things that people, first of all, is it free to attend?
It
for
is
people
free to attend, and it is
Okay.
open to the public.
All right.
Yes.
And what are some of the things people can expect to see at this empowerment fair?
Well, we're going to have a day full of workshops.
Yes.
We're going to have workshops focused on entrepreneurship, and then workshops focused on personal debt. Our featured speaker is actually going to be Lynn Richardson. She's a nationally known author, personal finance expert. She is actually the chief of operations for Russell Simmons Foundation. And she's also worked with MC Light and her hip hop sister foundation. But some of the workshops that we're going to have for the entrepreneurship side are access to capital, access to financing, writing a winning business plan, succession and estate planning, a social media strategy, and then a legal primer for businesses. On the personal debt side, again, we're going to have Lynn Richardson as our featured speaker, but then we're also going to have the Chicago Urban League talking about understanding your credit report. We're going to have some attorneys there talking about bankruptcy basics, and then we'll also have some other exciting individuals to talk about some various financial topics.
Now, these, Chicago is never a shortage of events or activities.
Exactly.
There's workshops and fairs and everything, but it's the continuation of these things after the fair is over, where people can come back and connect and re-engage. Will your organization continue to talk this conversation of entrepreneurship and financial empowerment throughout the year, especially with your members and people who say, I got excited. I heard something at this conference that kind of got me piqued. Will this be a conversation that will continue to resonate, and you will have other ways to keep your members connected, like this competition you talk about? Will this be a national competition, and will entrepreneurs who decide to have a Shark Tank experience like that, will they be able to go on and perhaps receive some backing that might support them getting their business going?
The first part of the competition is a regional competition, and the regional winners will then go into a national pool, and they will be selected. So it will be an ongoing process. Our partnership with the Chicago Urban League will continue, and we will continue to direct entrepreneurs to avenues where they can gain information.
Well, this is just awesome. The data shows that the fastest growth in terms of business startups are coming from women.
Yes.
That African American women, now certainly one of my just inspirations in business was my own mother, who was involved, and I saw her doing accounting and taxes and bookkeeping, everything across the dining room table all the time, and I didn't know who none of these people were, and many of them were legendary entrepreneurs around Chicago. So I got to see her firsthand providing services and doing that kind of thing for the entrepreneurs of our community. But I think as our community has gotten larger and more spread out, and people are living in the suburbs and everything else, the connectedness of our business community has dissipated. And so we need our organizations like Delta Sigma Theta and other organizations to start to raise the flag that,
Yes.
Through ownership we can create wealth.
We can.
Through
Yes.
ownership we can create jobs. And this is not
Exactly.
somebody outside the community that needs to have that idea. We need to have that idea.
Exactly.
And we need to, and we have the resources to
We
do
do,
it.
we
I mean,
do.
when we look at an organization like yours with 500 plus colleagues, and that doesn't even touch the iceberg of those who are around but maybe not
Exactly,
active,
right.
you probably would go into the thousands of
Exactly.
people.
Exactly.
And so if those vehicles are used to connect us back to the notion of ownership and entrepreneurship and business engagement, because of all the products and services and money we spend,
Yes.
that should be something that could be initiated around ideas of innovation. And I know you do a lot of work in education and with the schools.
Yes.
Is there a connection between the work that you do in high schools and colleges also tying into this opportunity of talking about business ownership and wealth creation and financial management?
It's actually good that you mentioned that. That's one of the programs that we are trying to put together now, is a financial education seminar or summit with our youth initiatives. So with Embody, with Delta Gyms and Delta Academy. So we hope to have that in the months to come, because we do understand that you need to have that basic level of finance and business at a young age, or at least to be exposed to it. And quite often, it's not part of the ongoing curriculum in our schools, so we have to instill that in our youth at an early age.
Now, most of the people are likely to see this interview online, or maybe they'll see it in social media like Facebook or Twitter. How can people connect with you to get more information about this seminar so they can get the specifics of how to engage with the Delta Sigma Theta Empowerment Fair?
Sure. You can send us an email to econ.shydeltas@gmail.com.
All right.
And we're also on Facebook, and that's Chicago Deltas. Or you can check out our website, and that's www.chicagodeltas.com.
And is this committee, was this committee put together just for doing this empowerment fair, or do you talk about these kinds of subjects all the time, business and economics and finance? Is there a working group that meets? I think you said something about 1959. Has there been a?
That's when the Chicago Alumni Chapter was established. But
Okay.
this particular committee is part of the 5-point thrust of the sorority.
Oh, okay,
of the
so that's a
sorority.
national
Yes,
agenda.
Right.
economic
It is,
development.
and
Yes.
ongoing.
Yeah. So we've had, back in November, we actually partnered with Larry Rogers Jr., a commissioner,
Yes.
to have a property tax appeal seminar. We had roughly around 30 to 40 members of the community come out and support our efforts there. This is our next event where we hope to have well in the hundreds of people come out and learn more about entrepreneurship and personal debt. And one workshop that I did not mention, but Barbara mentioned, was student loan debt. That we really need to have a conversation, not only how to obtain a student loan, but once you graduate or once you're finished with school, that you understand your options in terms of paying it back.
Well, I'm delighted to hear about this empowerment fair, and again, it is going to be at the University of Chicago, and it's going to be on the west side
University
of the
of
University of Illinois
at Chicago.
At Chicago, and it's
Yes.
going to be on the west side of their campus in the Student Center.
Student Center West, so
Okay.
828 South Walcott.
All right, and the times again?
It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
All right, very,
Yeah.
very good. Well,
And we want to thank you for being a participant in our fair coming up. So we also look forward to your expertise as we talk about entrepreneurship.
well, I will be there representing SCORE.
You will.
And SCORE is a nonprofit organization, also a volunteer organization, which has been around for 50 years, not as long as Delta, but it's been around for 50 years helping businesses with mentoring and coaching and workshops and that kind of thing. So we'll be happy to be there sharing that information about SCORE. And I'm, again, so delighted that a community-based organization, and an organization with your legacy and your firm foundation, to stand up and raise this flag of business ownership, wealth creation, financial management. We must get our hands around these issues if we want to see the prosperity in our community that we certainly need and deserve. And certainly historically, we've had that prosperity.
Yes.
Because
We have.
some of the greatest businesses in America of any diversity were started and managed and run by women. And so we need our women entrepreneurs to be a part of this experience right now and spread their wings in a variety of different fields. So I think this is going to be exciting. But I'm sure there will be some, this programs will be just as good for the brothers
Yes.
Of course.
as it will
Yes.
be for
Of
the
course.
sisters.
Yes,
So
yes.
we don't want, in fact,
No.
there may be a bunch of wise men who will be wise enough to show up if they know that it's going to be a lot of beautiful deltas in the house. That would be reason enough to get up and come on out and do something on a Saturday. There's no football to watch. Bulls aren't talking about nothing, so they might as well come on up.
And baseball hasn't started, so yeah.
Baseball
I
hasn't
think we
started, so
picked
you
a
couldn't
good
have picked a better time,
There you
Saturday,
go.
February the 21st, to do
Yes.
this. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on and
Thank
talking about
you.
this.
Thank
And I
you.
would love to have you back to hear more about types of programs you're doing, because I'd like to see if you're doing some things in the technology area. The focus of our show is on technology use and adoption, and certainly to have a business today, that business may need to be online or be mobile or use technology. So hopefully you will be stimulating conversations amongst your members on the effective use of technology
Yes.
in all aspects of living, whether it is health or education or lifelong learning or what have you. Well, I want to thank my guest today, Jerry Edwards, who is, now you are the co-chair.
The chair.
The chair.
Yes, I'm
Why
the
do you
chair.
want to make it?
I don't know.
Something about that co-chair. I want everybody to be working together, but they say I
Oh, we
am the
totally
chair.
are.
Oh, we work together. Please.
And Barbara
believe.
Medley Thomas.
Yes.
And you are
The co-chair.
the co-chair
Yes.
of this organization. And this is the Empowerment Fair, which is a combined effort between the alumni chapter and the Lambda chapter,
Yes.
Yes.
which is here in Chicago. And that means it's going to be a good thing. So if you're looking at a place where you can pick up some great information on business, on starting up a business, on financial management, or on many other strategies, student loans, it's all going to be here one-on-one, face-to-face. You'll be able to get the information you need to make a wise choice to advance your prosperity destiny. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and thank you for being a part of today's Technology Access Television. Have a good day.